The next up is obviously Manchester United. So Wes, they haven't had the best of form in recent weeks. I think they did beat Everton, I think, if I've done my research right. But they only just won in Europa League after McTominay came on. So it looks like for us, we might be all right against them.
Yeah, I think in the last sort of couple of years, though, I know obviously we trounced them 6-1, which, I've got family up in Manchester and we still remind them about that particular game, but which was overshadowed by the fact that Liverpool got absolutely tanked by Villa in the same evening. But it just feels like at the minute where we can go into games like this one and we can almost feel really, really confident because we can go there and get a result. But then when you kind of deep it a little bit, it's still going to be a really tough game. And, United are no mugs. I know they're going through a real sort of transitional period with Ten Hag. I think it's going to go either one of two ways. I think we'll either, nick a result. I don't think we'll absolutely batter them. I think we'll either nick a result or they will come out all guns blazing because I feel like they've got a point to prove. And I feel like in games where they have needed to prove something this season, I think United have just about done it. You look at that Arsenal game and, as Dara said earlier, they've absolutely murdered Arsenal. But it felt like that was a game where they had something to prove to everybody that, they are still sort of to be considered in the sort of top four conversation. Then they're miles off winning the league, miles off. But I think, certainly in that top four conversation, because I think everybody's really written them off. But it's going to be a difficult game. I don't think our record at Old Trafford is the greatest either. So, we've been to places where our record isn't great so far this season and have done okay. You look at obviously the Arsenal game, we were awful, but then Stamford Bridge, we've absolutely roughhoused a point there, and I think the police are still looking for that robbery at Stamford Bridge. So yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be an interesting one. And Ten Hag is a manager that I've admired for a good few years. Absolutely loved the way he had his Ajax teams playing and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be a good watch for sure.
I mean, talking about obviously a point to prove, Darryl, we've spoken about tonight about our not so good away form. Could this be a point to prove to go there and obviously do the business against them at Old Trafford?
100%. I think that'd be an absolutely massive statement from us, especially after what I said about how they played against Arsenal. I think after blowing Arsenal out of the water and showing what they could do when they're on their game and on their day, it just makes me a little bit apprehensive about going to Old Trafford now, to be honest. I think they're a decent side. I still don't think they've really got their defense sorted or got their midfield sorted when they probably should have. I think Casemiro is a good signing for him, but I'm kind of quietly confident we get a result. But they're definitely no mugs. So we'll have to go out there and show respect to them. And I think playing 3-4-3 would be a mistake, to be honest. I am a little bit scared about Conte's quotes today, though I do think it was a bit of mind games possibly. I think playing 3-5-2 is definitely the way to go. Because if United dominates the midfield, with the midfield they have, I would argue our midfield, if we play in a 3, is better than theirs. So if we play 3-5-2, I'm very confident. If we play 3-4-3, I'm kind of on the fence about it a little bit, but yeah, I think if we were to go there and get a result, I think that would really give us a massive lift, especially going into that last, is it Marseille away we have in the Champions League?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it is. So that'll be a huge game. I know hopefully we'll be Sporting and we'll be right on our way by then, but even for away games like that, I thought we looked really lackluster in Europe so far away from home. And I know they're hard places to go and things like that, but we did seem a little bit scared and tepid and lacking a bit of confidence. So I think beating United at Old Trafford would be enormous. I think that'd be a really, really huge result. And I think it could prove to Conte possibly, if he goes with 3-5-2, that that's the way to go.
Definitely, and I really hope so. I think loads of people, obviously Dan said it, David said it, I think there's someone else that they want to have those three in the middle. And Dan's also said, Wes, that'd be great to see a matchup between Højbjerg and Eriksen in the mid as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think obviously Højbjerg, we've mentioned about him earlier in his good form. I think Eriksen has been a little bit hit and miss in a United shirt. you look at the games that they've played, like you look at the Brentford one, for example, really, really struggled to drop deep and get on the ball there when he's being pressed. So, the analysts, hopefully for Spurs, have done their homework on that. But yeah, I think obviously going forward and his ability on the ball, Eriksen, he's still got it. There's no doubt about that. The spaces he can find. It's been interesting to see how him and Bruno have been working, because you would argue they are pretty much the same player, if not very, very similar. But I think if we get in and about that United midfield, which it will be Bruno, it will be Eriksen, and it's I reckon Casemiro will probably start, to be fair. But I think if we get in and around them and upset them and don't give them any time on the ball, I think they're going to really struggle, because I don't think they have the capabilities like they used to, where they can take the ball in tight areas and tight spaces, and especially, like I say, with Eriksen, that goal against Brentford where De Gea's rolled in the ball, that was a big one, and a real eye opener, I think, for a lot of people that day. But yeah, no, it'll be an interesting matchup, definitely.
Definitely, if we go with obviously that three in the middle, because I don't want to see us get swamped, especially against United. But Dara, I'll come to you for one more point about obviously the lineup kind of things before we move on to my favourite thing, score predictions. And that is the fact, obviously, we spoke about Richarlison being injured, the fact that Kulusevski probably won't be fit. So Lucas is probably the fit for this. We've spoken a little bit about him tonight, but do you think that will probably be the case?
I would be shocked, to be honest. I would be shocked if Conte brought in Lucas for such a big game. I think for a game like that, when Lucas hasn't really been training and isn't really up to speed, and he looked a bit, I know he only came on for a few minutes the other night, but his touch and everything like that, his match sharpness, everything like that, I think it would be a bad decision personally if you were to start him at least. I completely understand bringing him on if we need that bit of electricity. If we're behind, hopefully we won't be. But if we are, himself or Hill, I think that they're good options to have to cause a bit of havoc, a bit of chaos. I don't think either of them probably are good enough on the ball to carry it forward and give a good final ball. That's why I think against United you have to be on the ball, especially at Old Trafford. You have to nearly be working like clockwork, I suppose. And I think the only way we can do that is if we have three in midfield and allow Bentancur and Højbjerg to do their thing. So yeah, I hope he doesn't do that. But listen, if he does, he obviously is seeing something, and he thinks he's ready. So listen, I'll trust Conte on it, but I think Bissouma should definitely start this one.
I like it. I think that's kind of the sentiment as well. I'd kind of like that too. But obviously, moving on to score predictions, the best thing of the evening. Wes, I'll come to you first. What's your kind of thoughts?
3-2 Spurs. I think the last sort of few games we've had against United, there has been quite a few goals in there. Obviously, I was at Old Trafford last season, and I was really, really gutted actually that we didn't get a point, and I felt like the way we played deserved a point. But that was probably one of the very few times last season where I came away from a defeat, but I was really positive because of the way we played, the belief that we had. We could go toe to toe with United at that time, and you're feeling a little bit gutted that actually we haven't come away and got a result. And how many times can you say that when we've been to Old Trafford in the last few years? So I think 3-2. I think Kane will get one. Actually, I think he'll get two. I think he's going to get a header and a penalty. And then I think it's time for a bit of an obscure goal scorer. I'm going to say Eric Dyer. So yeah, I think from set pieces we can really look to target them because they're not the best in the air. United.
I like it. I like the positivity, and like I say, it could be done. Dara, what's your kind of thoughts? I'm assuming it's not going to be 69-0.
No, I don't think it's 69-0. No, or anywhere close to that, to be honest. But I would love it to be. If it was, I'd take it. But no, I'd say it's going to be. I actually quite liked the 3-2 scoreline. I'm not going to lie. Wes really convinced me there. But I obviously can't copy him now. So I'll go 2-1. I do think we might nick results. I think our defense looked quite good. It's looking quite good recently. I thought Romero looked more back to his best against Everton. Because I thought he looked a little bit sluggish since the injury, just not quite as aggressive as maybe he was before that. So I think against Everton, he kind of started showing a bit more of that. And maybe that was him. Maybe he was playing with a slight nick or slight injury. You wouldn't know. But yeah, I think we'll nick this one 2-1. I'm gonna go for Kane just to continue that streak he's on. And I'm gonna go for I might go for an obscure one as well. I might go with, let me think. I'm gonna go with Bentancur. Why not?
Like it.
Ian and
Like
Bentancur.
That is, I mean, I'm down for that. I like an obscure goal scorer, especially if it's the two you've said. So that'd be ace. I'm gonna change it completely and say 3-1 because I don't want to copy anyone. I think Kane's gonna grab 2, and I think Son will grab the 3rd. I don't want to be too obscure, but I can't say who's gonna score for United because, like I said, I don't really watch United, so I ain't got a clue. So I would go 3-1. Sean said 3-1 as well, so there we go. But yeah, no, that would be great if we do manage to get all 3 points, especially in midweek, and then obviously we have Newcastle United at the weekend, and I think there's a lot of injuries for Newcastle at the minute, so that one should be quite an appetizer too. But yeah, so